I wondered what would happen if I googled improved landscape photography, see what tips we got, see if I could learn anything. No, I mean, obviously, we could all learn things. Anyway, one of the first tips we got was use a tripod. And I thought, is that a guaranteed method of improving? So I thought maybe I could take a look at some of these tips that Google is saying are good ones and see whether I actually agree with them. So I thought, well, let's have a think about whether using a tripod really will improve your landscape photography. And we'll go through some of the other tips there as well. But there's a lot of superlatives around a lot of these articles and videos and such, and I'm as guilty as the next man, I suppose. But yeah, the whole concept of improve instantly, all of this kind of stuff, will it? So let's look at the tripod and think, how essential is a tripod for landscape photography? I mean, what will it actually do that will massively improve your landscape photography? Like so many things, this is all subjective, isn't it? There's no guarantee that using a tripod is going to improve your landscape photography. I mean, no guarantee whatsoever. And will it do it instantly? Almost certainly not. What it will do, and this is a point that's made in this article as well, although I've got to say it's just a paragraph. It's, there's nothing potentially earth-shattering in it. But the key thing it will do is it will slow you down, and it's really important. The shot I'm getting here of this wonderful Victorian shelter on the cliff top here by this boating lake, this pond lake. It's a lake for children to enjoy pond yachts, and I suppose they might paddle here in the summer. Anyway, I'm digressing. Could I get the shot here without a tripod? And the answer is absolutely yes. Can I get into the same shot? Because you will see here that I have some filters on here. And the answer to that is absolutely not. For the shot I'm working on here, it's absolutely essential that I use a tripod because I'm getting a long exposure to smooth the water out. And you may also see up here I've got a grad filter on because, hey, why not? The sky is a little brighter than the lower foreground and shadows. I thought, well, since I've got the filter on, I might as well deal with this right now. Of course, you can't do long exposure photography with ND filters without a tripod. You've got to keep the camera steady, unless you're doing ICM, which is, of course, an entirely different topic. So the shot that you're going to see could not have been performed without a tripod. But if I wasn't bothered about flattening the surface of the water, could I have got the shot without tripod? Of course I could. So it would have been more trouble because, to make this work and to pull this off, we've got to be as central as we can. We've got to be as level as we can. And obviously hand holding would make that difficult. But I'm being peculiar to this shot. Would it improve your landscape photography generally? Would it do it instantly? No, it wouldn't. A tripod is a brilliant piece of kit. It allows you to get shots that you might not be able to get otherwise. It allows you to slow down, it allows you to perhaps compose better, it allows you to lock a composition. There's many reasons you would want to use one. But there's a number of reasons why you wouldn't want to use one as well. One of the other things that you need to consider about a tripod is, well, actually you may not have one. So instant improvement also means instant expense. Now, I tend to use my trusted Giottos tripod here, which is real professional grade, and they're expensive things. You can get much cheaper ones, of course, as in review of a really rather decent one appearing up in the corner of the screen, up here over my shoulder, I think. Or is it? Oh, I don't remember. It's up there somewhere. That tripod is by Kentfaith, which you can see on my back here. It's not that I'm not using it for photography. I use it for video a lot. Yeah, I am walking the walk and talking the talk. Second tip on here: lines and shapes are your friend. You know what? That one I agree with. I agree with it wholeheartedly, but like anything else, you absolutely have to learn how to work with those lines and shapes. Because really, kind of what it's talking about is having a line that leads your eye through an image and such. And you can obviously work with that, because lines are really important. Shapes are important as well, particular diagonals and kind of triangles. Again, they kind of funnel I'm on a ledge here and disappearing, or ledge, a big slope, your eyes can kind of get funneled through an image with these shapes. Another thing that's really important is repeating shapes in images. If you get repetition, ideally you don't want even numbers. It's always odd numbers. This exists through all kinds of design and such, but odd numbers. So if you've got a number of, say, rocks or something through an image, having the repeating shapes of those really kind of works, and if you find a line that runs kind of through them, perfect. What I found is somewhat different from that. Again, like this quite a steep slope, disappearing, and you can tell big high cliff here. Down below I've got a rather interesting little shot to be had. This is an abstract shot using lines, not so much shapes, but certainly lines. And down on the beach down here, it's a big shingle beach. Tides, it's not high, but it's on its way out. Low tide's in about 3 hours, I think. The point is that what I'm doing is it's a nice shingle beach, and the tide moves the shingle around quite a lot. So you've got it in kind of layers. You've got a really dark layer where the water keeps hitting it, and then you've got kind of ridges and layers. The way it contours is really rather nice. And I'm just timing a few shots as the waves kind of come in and break. What they're doing is they're providing additional lines and elements of interest in the shot. It's a really abstract shot. I've got a number of different ones, both portrait and landscape, and there was something in one of those that really just kind of looked rather nice. It might work better as a black and white, I'm not sure, but lines and shapes, absolutely useful, really good tip from an online source. Hey, I'm an online source. I'm agreeing with them. Hey, isn't this good? One of the other tips there is don't be afraid of negative space. And again, yeah, I'd agree with it, but yeah, there are caveats with it. It does say, no, I'm being fairness to it, if used correctly. If you can learn to use negative space correctly, I'd argue you probably understand all of these tips anyway. So let's talk about negative space. The shot I've got lined up here is absolutely full of it. The only subject, I say how many subjects you want in a shot, it is this Coastwatch building here, which is rather nice. And in the sun, it's gorgeous. I have had a polarizer filter out to see just how much it darkens down the sky up here, but it's not nearly enough to want to muck about with it. Yeah, kind of 90 degrees to the sun, but it's that kind of light that just isn't working for it. But anyway, the shot, it's simple. I mean, yeah, if I move away from the camera for a second, you can just kind of see it. You know, we've got this building here and a horizon with cloud and sea. But in the foreground, we've got quite a lot of these rather nice kind of contours and such, and they're casting the light. Well, this is about light as much as anything else. And whilst there's a lot of empty space in the shot, I think to call it negative isn't entirely accurate. You see, what you need to do with space is make sure that it's got the right the right mood and everything to it. It's, yeah, the space in this shot is telling the story of just how kind of remote everything is. Well, I say remote, you know, there's people and such around, but it's one lone building looking out over the North Sea. And that's what the space is doing. It's giving a sense of isolation. So, yes, it's negative. Yes, there's not a lot in it. And yes, it actually works quite well. Well, I hope it does anyway. I mean, yeah, not a lot of point in talking about this if I'm absolutely muffing it up, is there? But one of the things you've got to be really careful with negative space is having absolutely kind of nothing in it, no interest whatsoever, unless your subject is in absolutely, stonkingly strong. And yeah, all effectively the negative space is doing is drawing it right to your subject. Is you've got to be really careful, because otherwise it could just be wasted space. Now, that's not to say it could be a bad shot. In magazine publishing and advertising and such, having a lot of negative space with literally kind of nothing in it is incredibly useful for running behind text. So if you have a kind of double page spread or something, you could have your big subject on one side, and then you could have kind of just running into blank on the other side, and just continuing the image into the background. There's all kinds of reasons where you might want to do that. The same might be applied if you're trying to do that behind a web page, for instance. And there are reasons, therefore, to do it. But if you're just kind of creating a landscape photo, negative space has got to be dealt with incredibly carefully. When I got this back and started editing it, I felt it had a kind of older postcardy type quality to it, so I put it into Analog Effects Pro, used one of the presets and tweaked it a little. There's a link in the description for a free trial of the next collection which Analog Effects Pro is part of. Go check it out. A tip from another website: stay local. I can't disagree with this in any way, shape or form. Where I am here, this is the cliff tops at Sheringham. I live, I suppose, at the moment anyway, in one of the holiday cottages about 7 miles away. Look, I'm losing my tripod here. And even when I'm in my flat at Munsley, it's still only another 7 miles on top, so I'm about 14 miles maximum away from the places that I generally live. And you know what? This is the very first time, shouldn't hold the camera there, should I? No light there. This is the very first time that I've walked on this path. That little Coastwatch building up there, I see from the road an awful lot, and I've often looked and thought, I'd love to walk up there, it looks gorgeous. And from the road it's lovely. And the road, we look into the light, is just down there. You can see a little beach buggy, golf buggy moving, and it's just beyond that, the line beyond that. Well, not quite the line beyond that, because the line beyond that is the Heritage Railway line, and the road's next to that. Staying local is important. If you were on the channel last week, you'll know that I stayed local and went to an industrial estate to shoot landscapes. It was a very different environment from what I might normally shoot, or what you normally see me shoot. But I really do enjoy these places, and if you look at the sheer number of images I got there, you'll realise that there's just oodles of opportunities. Yeah, just around the corner from where many of us live. Yet we want to go to all these other wonderful places that we see other photographers on YouTube going to, the Lake District, the Dales and such. Yeah, they're wonderful, wonderful if you have the opportunity of going. But if you don't, this is a few miles from home. The video last week, which I encourage you to watch, it's not done as well as I'd hoped it would. Again, a few miles from home. Lots of, get that hat on. Lots of opportunities really close by, yet because they're close by, a lot of us don't visit them enough and take our tripods and cameras and shoot them. We must. We absolutely must. There's no need to spend a great deal of money travelling hundreds of miles or thousands in a plane or whatever. All the shots you ever need to improve are probably within a 20-mile radius of where you live. One of the tips that I haven't read on any of the web pages yet, at least, is this one, and you absolutely can't forget this one. It's when you're out in the landscape, there's shop all around you, and as I've walked down up here, I'm walking constantly in this direction. There's shots down here, I don't know, I haven't found any yet, but there will be some. But, of course, the mush shot is the subject that I've been shooting up there already. And of course, it's behind me. And that's the tip. Look, well, I think it is. Yeah, regularly. Look behind you regularly. Because I wouldn't have seen this, but this shot contains all of the elements, or a number of the elements, that we've already spoken about here. So, first up, tripod. You can see I'm look from it. The wind is, I wouldn't know, it's not brutal, but yeah, I haven't got spikes on the feet of this, so it's on really soft, kind of squidgy grass. And just looking through the lens, you can see everything shimmering as the wind buffeting it. It's hitting it from this direction out to sea. Another tip that's in some of these web pages is filters are your friend. Now, one of them says that if you only carry 2 filters, make sure it's a polarizer and for some reason an ND grad. I don't agree. ND grads aren't necessary. They're damn helpful, but they're not necessary, and I would argue that they're going to complicate your work too much if you're not used to them at the very least. I've already used one today to darken down the sky in the first shot of the pavilion. There's certainly no need to use one just right now, but we've got a really interesting kind of patch of sky up there, and what I have put on is a polarizer. The polarizer is helping quite a lot. It wasn't helping in this direction earlier, but it's certainly helping more in that direction. The light in that direction obviously can be polarized better. Right, stop waffling, get on with the shot. The shot is following the lines and the shapes of this path. The lines that are kind of intimated by the white coast moving up there, leading all the way back to the Coastwatch building at the top there, which is really a tiny subject. And really luckily I had a couple of people walking through the shot earlier, and I got them as they kind of crested the hill and became just a tiny little subject on top of the hill as well. Just adding that little bit of definition, pulling the eye further through, and it works really well. I hope you like this shot. So there you go. Not all advice online is created equal. That's not to say I've come across any bad advice, but I have come across advice that is very subjective, particularly the tripod one. And I don't also argue the filters, because these things can help, but they can hinder as well. It depends on what you're shooting, how your shooting style is and such. Using filters, particularly graduated filters, I think is a bit of I wouldn't say con, but it's not going to massively improve your photography, because the key skills, yeah, the filter side of things is a technical thing. You can learn the technical stuff from a book, and what we're not talking about mostly in this video is actually how you compose. I'm saying mostly, obviously we've spoken about lines and such, but the point is that it's the composition, it's understanding how the image works that's important, not necessarily how it's taken. And if you want to look at a video that will tell you a couple of things that will really ruin your shots, check out the one that's appearing on screen now. We'll see you next week. Take care.